Welcome back to the podcast video, however you're listening or watching League of Inches. Once again, joined by Alex from the NRLW Watch as well. Obviously, seen the women's preview I did with Now. This is the other part of the team, Alex as well. So it's really good to have him on board to help me preview the NRLW. Looking to round two side of things, there's been some great results for round one. Alex, first of all, before I get into the results from round one, how you doing? And obviously loved the first week of the NRLW.
Yeah, I'm going good. It's good to make my debut on a video. I've sort of left that up to Neha on the page. She's probably a bit more bubbly, a bit nicer to look at when it comes to the video. So I've left it up to her. But yeah, I've sort of been behind the scenes, but trying to get into the video side of things and get my face out there too.
Is it? Hang on a sec. You're a handsome looking fella. Let's say that off the bat for the podcast. Just don't put yourself down like that. Is this the first video you've actually done?
Yeah, so any other interview or Zoom she's done, it's just been Neha. I mean, I'm happy for her to take the
Oh,
reins of that and keep a back seat. So yeah.
I'm honored. I'm honored with this. Then this is fantastic. So, it's all right. We'll get through this. I've got no doubt about that. So round one results. I'll quickly just run through it. Got the Titans versus the Cowboys. Titans won 16-6. The Newcastle Knights beat the Dragons 32 points to 16. The Roosters beat the Broncos 36 points to 18. The Tigers came out of the blocks firing 36 points to 8 against an Eels team without two of their stars, which was a bit of a shame to see them not at full strength from the first week. And the Sharks were really impressive, I thought, 28-14 over the Raiders. Was there a game or a team that really stood out for you in round one?
Yeah, definitely the Tigers I thought were most impressive. I know Neha did those predictions with you, and she had him the wooden spoon at 10th. Copped a bit of backlash from that, but yeah, definitely. I think in the first half it was pretty even, and I was kind of watching, and both teams are pretty scrappy. And I know it was only round one, so every team's just going to be finding their feet. But in that first half, it was both teams pretty slow off the blocks. I thought Tigers were better in the first half, but then they just, came out of nowhere in that second half and just blew the Eels away. So it was a really impressive win from the Tigers.
It's a long season. Obviously, it's a 9 round competition, so it's always good to start well. It's just obviously about keeping that consistency as well, which was one of the things Neha was worried about with the Tigers moving forward. So I don't want to put a dampener on things, but it is just to keep watching this space before we go too hard at a prediction, because it's always sucks doing those later predictions. I've done it as well, and it's never easy. So let's get into this week's games, round two. Really looking forward to this first clash. I think it could be the clash of the round, actually. It's tomorrow night, Thursday. Broncos versus the Titans at the Gabba. So nice to see games still being played in Brisbane while the World Cup's on at the Gabba. Just your quick little preview of the game ahead.
Yeah, well, it is good to have a game in Brisbane because there's no Broncos games at Suncorp, which is pretty disappointing. So I think there's a few at Sunshine Coast, and then there's some. I think it's the East Tigers Stadium, the BMD team. So yeah, it's good to have one at the Gabba. Hopefully we'll get back to Suncorp next season. I think when I look at this game, obviously as a Broncos fan, I'm excited to come up against an improved Titans side this year. Obviously recruited well in the off season. But I think, the main thing when I look at this game is the halves. You've obviously got Ali Brigginshaw, Gail Broughton, a lot more experience than when you look at the Titans side. Shante in a second NRLW game and Sienna Lafipo making an NRLW debut. They've played together in the under-19s Origin game and got the win there. But I think that it's just polar opposites when you look at the halves. And I think where the game's going to be won is just Ali Brigginshaw, Gail going to be able to control the game a lot better. Just due to inexperience of the Titans halves. They've got a great team overall, but I think where it's going to be won will definitely be the halves.
Yeah, I think it shows last week how strong the Roosters actually are, because I don't think the Broncos were too far off, to be honest, and ended up having a couple of points put on them. And the same with the Titans. I thought the Titans were quite controlled in their game. It wasn't one of those flashy games, but their experience got them through, which I know we said in the preview video that was one of their big strengths this year for the Titans. So I'm really looking forward to this game. If there's a player to watch from each side that you have to point just one player of each, who are you looking at?
Well, from Broncos perspective and as a Broncos fan, watching Melo Hufanga, I just I want to see her get the ball every play. Like she's just so damaging, out in space as well, giving her early ball. She can, she could just get past anyone really. She's so big, so strong. I mean, she showed a bit of pace, but got run down against the Roosters. So yeah, definitely Mela Hufanga, one to watch if you haven't already seen her.
Yep, no, I agree with that one. I'll put down Ali Brigginshaw just in terms of the controlling side of things. I think her controlling factor in the halves so the Broncos could get him across the line in this game. For a Titan side of things, I thought their fullback, Pelletti, was absolutely amazing on the weekend. That was probably easily the game or the performance of the round for an individual point of view. And I think that was the fullbacks of whole, actually. Just the fullbacks on the weekend looked on fire and just a class above. But I think if Titans are to go close or to win this game, it's off the back of their fullback. Top try scorer of each side. Have you got one of those for us?
Yeah, I'll just go one try scorer. I think Random Stats Guy pointed this out a few weeks ago when it came to Origin that Emily Bass had scored in every game she's played in Queensland. I think she didn't end up scoring last week, which was in Queensland. It was at the Gold Coast. But yeah, that's only one game now in her career that she hasn't scored. So it's hard to go past her. So I'll keep it pretty simple and yeah, go Emily Bass to score a try.
Yeah, perfect. And what I'm going to do, guys, there'll be a post before tomorrow's game, just a little multi, because I'll choose a try scorer, and so will Alex as well, and we'll just put that together. And I've gone for Broughton actually. I just feel like her running game, especially for this second game, will be really top level. I've really encouraged because I'm a Para fan. Watched her last year. I was really disappointed to see her leave the club, and I know her strengths are how good of a player she can be. So I'm really looking forward to seeing her have a massive game. Look, your prediction for the winner,
I think
and
it'll
I
be
know
tight.
you're a Broncos fan.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to be too biased, but I think it'll be tight. And like I said with the halves, I think the Broncos will get on top. I don't see either team blowing each other out. I think we're pretty close. I mean, Broncos obviously going to have both wingers out, so going to be a little bit fragile on the edges, and that also is a reason why I think Emily Bass could score because I think it's going to be Mela Hufanga and Lauren Dam potentially on that wing, or whoever else they bring in to replace Ash Werner. So I think we saw last week Jess Surgis sort of took advantage of Mela Hufanga a little bit with her pace, got on the outside. I think Hufanga a lot of upside in attack, but still obviously so new to league, the defensive side of things, she might be a target for teams. So um, in saying that, I still think the Broncos, yeah, we'll get the job done in a tight one.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Actually, I think Broncos in a tight one as well. Just quickly, your thoughts on the 2 week suspension for the binding? Do you think that was warranted or enough or too lenient? And I personally think maybe 2 3 weeks was sort of the mark.
Yeah, I think it's so tricky when the season's 9 weeks. I think it's easier to
Yeah.
kind of get a gauge of it when it's NRL. You can kind of
Mm.
go off previous suspensions. I know Madison Bartlett only got 1 week for biting last season,
Oh
or in
wow.
2021. So yeah, she only copped the 1 week. So knowing that, I wasn't actually expecting a huge suspension. But yeah, I mean, 2 3 weeks, anything more, you're cutting a lot of the season out. But yeah, you can't be doing that on the field if that's what it was deemed to be. So yeah.
As you said, it is harder because you can't really compare it with the NRL, different lengths of the season. So you got to sort of put that into perspective. That's like I sort of heard it yesterday. Someone was saying it sort of makes it as if it was a 6 week suspension for the NRL. So I guess
Mm.
either way you want to look at it. But the next game we've got Saturday, we've got the Raiders versus the Roosters at GRO Stadium. So good to see the Raiders girls get a home game there. Your little preview for this one.
Yeah, I think it's just so hard to go past the Roosters to kind of come out with a bang. They started so fast against the Broncos. I think blew out to 18-0 early, and I was really concerned like they're just going to go on with it. They're the obvious team to beat. We kind of came back and made the scoreline respectable, but I think the way that the Roosters start, if they continue to do that and teams don't manage to get back into it, it could get ugly pretty quickly. So I think the Raiders this season are a team to, stay in the grind, be really, just make things difficult, make life hard for the opposition, whether they are winning games or not. They're going to make it hard and potentially will keep it close. But I think the Roosters will, end up running away with it in the end.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. I think the Roosters are just a class above at the moment. It's just after 1 week, you can see how well they've gelled and their coaching structures are in place. It's great to see. Player to watch for this game.
Player to watch. I think with Amber Hall, we just heard that she was ruled out for the season now with that foot injury that she picked up. So obviously they're so stacked, so take your pick. But I think Otessa Pule coming in on the edge. still, I think only 20, had played a lot of NRLW last season, a fair chunk of the 2022 season, I think. So yeah, still so young, going to be one of the best up and coming forwards in the game. So yeah, just keep an eye out on her and what she can do now to fill the boots of Amber Hall for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I put down, obviously we know Millie Boyle, how good she is, arguably one of the best players in the competition, and we saw that again, how dominant she is on the weekend. I'll put down Samama Taufa as a left field sort of option for the Raiders, just because I like how she can hold the middle up and that team together. And I think against the Roosters, you need that player in the middle who can step up and say to basically to Millie Boyle, I'm not scared of you in a way, like I'll come at you as well. And I think she's got that about her, which I really like to see. Try scorer for you.
I think Isabel Kelly in this one. It's a pretty, again, a pretty easy answer, I guess. But she didn't score last week, I don't think. So, she'll be pretty hungry for a try. She's a pretty noted NRLW try scorer. So, yeah, I think she can get over. I think also the Raiders, they conceded 3 tries down their right side. I think
Yep.
through, Tonagato, Penatani, and then Ellie Johnson ended up scoring. So I think that's probably, could be a target for the Roosters this week. So yeah, definitely Isabel Kelly on that left side for the Roosters.
Yep. And that's absolutely amazing there, the little preview. Look at that. That's where the NRLW Watch page is getting to that next level. He knows all the stats. It's fantastic to see. Look, I personally think the Roosters might go on with this game, so I'm going to throw a Roosters player in as well for mine. And it's the centre pair partner, Jess Surgis, who I just think is such a dominating player, and she seems so hard to tackle. It just, especially close to the line, she's almost impossible to hold out. So I just think it could be a both centers scoring a try on the weekend. Prediction: I personally think the Roosters should do this by a couple. I think by about that 16 sort of margin. Where are you going with this one?
Yeah, I'm yeah, pretty similar. I think it might be tight for the first, 50 or so minutes, but yeah, the Roosters will just be too good in the end, and I definitely see them running away with it. Probably by about 14-18.
Yeah. Yeah. Next game, we've got the Dragons and the Eels. It's two teams that had defeats on the weekend, so both want to have a win to kickstart their campaign. You don't want to go too long into a season without the win. That's that dreaded curse. You just start thinking about more and more. It's the worst thing ever as a player. Your little preview on this one.
Yeah, both teams coming off a loss, like you said, so they'll be hungry to get the win and not be 0-2 with only 9 weeks. You're on the back foot straight away, and chasing wins immediately. So I think Dragons, they started really fast last week against the Knights, just from what I was watching, and looked really intense, bringing the energy. And I know Jamie Soward, that was his focus coming into the game, just to start well and start fast, and that's what they did. They weren't able to score any points off it, and ended up being 18-0 down, I think, or conceded the first three tries. So on the other side, Eels, I thought they started really slowly. I mean, they ended up maybe even leading at half time against the Tigers, but the Tigers looked dominant, and I just thought, yeah, the Eels came out really flat, really slow. So if the Dragons have that fast start, Eels start slow again. I could see the Dragons getting on top early, and then they have such a dominant halves pairing in Racine and Tyler that they could just cause a lot of havoc, and especially down that left side, or that right side for the Eels, where I think the Tigers really exploited in the second half. That'll be Tyler Nathan Wong, and I think she can dig into the line really well, use her speed, so much skill. She could, really make that right side of the Eels defense panic, and I don't know how much they can fix up in a week.
She's a freak. I love watching those rugby seven tournaments and that as well, and have watched her closely for a while now. She's so good. I think it's going to be scary how good she gets throughout this season once she adapts a bit more to the NRLW side of things. It was a weird one because when I was watching last week and watched the game, it was another one of those games where I thought the Dragons actually played pretty good, and the scoreline probably didn't reflect how the Dragons actually went. And I just think it shows where the Knights are at as well in their campaign early on. So I think the Dragons are much further ahead in their season already than the Eels are with that performance that the Eels showed. So player to watch for this one. I just want to put a name out to you first.
Yeah, go for it.
Tegan Berry, the fullback for the Dragons. I thought even when you put into the NRL side of things, I thought that was one of the well, obviously Peliti, we can't compare with that as well, but that was another one of those performances where it was really like Ryan Pappenhausen, like in his prime, where he sort of was everywhere. He didn't stop running. He's got some speed. That big break she made and scored, it was like she did it in second gear. There's like it felt like there was a lot more speed to burn with her, and she didn't choose to get into those gears. So I think she's one of those players to watch, not just for this game, but for the season as a whole. I'm really excited to watch her.
Yeah, definitely. I think it would be easy for, a winger to go to fullback and be kind of pretty timid, a bit quiet, but she just seemed to get involved straight away. And I know, Sowie was pretty keen on the move and has liked her at fullback. And yeah, just so good to see her involved and around the play, the ball around the ruck, linking up with the halves. I think the way the Dragons halves could have the potential to play, it's going to be a nightmare for teams with Tegan's speed around the ruck and lingering around the halves just for inside balls, chips over the top. I don't know who's going to catch her. She's definitely, I think, the fastest in the league. So excited to see how she develops that fullback. And yeah, it could be a problem for other teams. For a player to watch out for me, like I said, probably Tyler Nathan Wong, just down that left side. If the Eels don't fix up those defensive issues, she could just have a field day, and there could be a few tries down that side for the Dragons.
What about your try scorer for this game?
Yeah, so I'll go Bobby Law, the left center. I think Leanne Tufunga, the left center for the Tigers, ended up scoring a double. So go back to the well there and just say Bobby Law, the left center for the Dragons, if she does end up playing on the left, which I think she did last week.
I'll go Racine McGregor, another game where I think the Dragons might put some points on here, and we've seen the Eels defense doesn't quite stack up. I wanted to put an Eels player in. I just wasn't sure who's going to get it across the line after their performance on the weekend. I wasn't too confident there, and but yeah, I think Racine McGregor. Prediction: who you got for this one?
Yeah, I gotta have to go the Dragons. Just really, probably, like I said, the Tigers were the most impressive team, but Eels were probably the most disappointing. So it's hard to imagine them kind of turning it around that much. I know the Dragons weren't amazing, but yeah, I think it's gonna have to go the Dragons, and could see them winning in a big way if they get going.
Yeah, no, I agree with that one. I think Dragons by a couple as well. Unfortunately for us Para fans, it's going to be a tough start to this
Yeah.
NRLW season. Knights v Cowboys Sunday, 12 o'clock. Great time of day to play some rugby league at Belmore as well. So one of the homes of rugby league, as all those Bulldogs fans like to say. What's your little preview for this game?
Um, yeah, I think the Cowboys did well to sort of stay in it with the Titans. There's so much hype around the Titans coming in, and I think like I've said already, it's round one, so a lot of teams are just feeling it out. But I think the Cowboys will take a bit of time to warm into the season. It just looks like it's not 100% clicking so far. And the Knights, they did so well to kind of handle that early pressure from the Dragons and just stay in the game, and then ends up with a relatively comfortable win. So I think it's going to be tough for the Cowboys. It might not be till say round 6, 7 where we really see them clicking and getting getting their attacking shapes and potentially getting the wins. So hard to go past the Knights. They played so well in round one, and interesting to see that Hannah Southwell. She's not been named in the 17, but she's I think at 18th player. So will be interesting to see if she comes back into the team on the bench at least. Yeah, and that'll be a big in, and I think the Knights will be tough to beat.
Yeah, that's crazy when you got that sort of talent sitting at the 18th spot as well. That's a bit scary for the competition. Player to watch.
Player to watch. Did have it written down. Oh yeah, Sheridan Gallagher. I think she really impressed me in the trial that they played. And then in round one she stood up again. Just a really hard runner of the ball, hard to handle, a lot of speed out on the wing. I think she could really be a damaging player and a really good try scoring winger for the Knights this season. And she only played I think one game of league before being picked up by the Knights, so I didn't know anything about her really. She came over from soccer, so bit of a surprise package this season, but so far so good for her.
Yeah, I wrote down two players for this one. I wanted to point out an obvious one, which maybe some fans who are just tuning in and starting to get involved, NRLW might not know this, but Tamika Upton is just a class above. She is so good. It is crazy what she can do on a football field, and really, really enjoy watching her play rugby league. And I'm blessed that we get to watch her do that. The other one I really liked on the weekend was Emma Manzelman. If I've said that correctly, the
Yeah.
hooker for the Cowboys. just her craftiness, I thought, in dummy half, and she scored one where she just was able to. She reminds me a bit of Damien Cook in a way, where she can just pick up and go. And look, guys, she's not a beach sprinter for what I know, so she hasn't got that background, but she's just quick on her feet, and that could be really dangerous, especially we see some of these forwards in the NRLW can get quite tired, and when the interchanges aren't done correctly. So if she can get that, that could be a little bit of a danger there for the Newcastle Knights. So just watch out for those. Try scorer for this game.
Yeah, well, you mentioned her, Tamika Upton. I think like Isabel Kelly, they're both just such noted NRLW try scorers, and I think yeah, she scored 12 tries in 17 NRLW games. I think only behind Madison Bartlett on like the all-time leading try scorer list. So she didn't get one last week, but I think she can cross over this week.
Yeah, I agree with that one. I will change what I had as well because I had her down, but I'll go Jasmine Strange for a try there. So I really like seeing what she's bringing to the table. I think she can get across the line. So locking that one down. I'm just writing these down as we go, so it makes it easy to post.
Yeah,
Prediction.
prediction. Yeah, I
Who's
think
winning this one?
yeah, Knights. I think like the Raiders, the Cowboys are a team that will probably make things tough, but just don't have it all together just yet to get the win. Probably. Oh, look, it'd be nice to be proven wrong. Always good for an upset, but yeah, I think the Knights will run away with it in the end.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think the Knights will win, but I thought the Cowboys showed a little bit of grit last week, and they're going to be one of those annoying teams that just stay in the contest. So I like the Knights 1-12 in that betting option there. So yeah, I think the Cowboys have a bit to offer in this competition. It's just going to be about how long it's going to take for them to fully gel and get across the page.
Mhm.
Um, Tigers versus Sharks last game Sunday 150 again at Belmore, so a double header there at Belmore. Great to see. Get around it, go down there and watch the girls play. It's fantastic to watch. Good double header games. Your preview for this one?
Yeah, both impressive in the first round. Like I said, Tigers really impressive. Both good lineups on paper, and they played in a trial. Obviously, it would have been a different team, chopping and changing because it is just a trial. But the Sharks did come out with the win 22-0. Um,
Wow.
yeah, so probably expecting a bit of a closer one after that. Tigers will definitely come in with more confidence after their, how they finished the game last week. So like you said, I think the Broncos Titans was the game to watch, but I'm really, really excited to see how this one goes because a couple of weeks ago I probably would have said just Sharks will run away with it, but now I'm giving Tigers a chance and they will at least keep it close. So um, in terms of winner, I think yeah, Sharks will get it done. They'll be too good in the end, too much quality. But yeah, Tigers are a real chance.
Yeah, I think this game, where this excites me for this one, I think it could turn into one of those points fest games where we see one of those high scoring sort of affairs. Because I think we see from last week, both teams like to throw the footy around and have some really brilliant attacking players in their lineup. So really looking forward to watching this game. Love the time frame as well. Getting there before all the NRL games start as well. So that's good to see. Player to watch for yourself.
Yeah, she came off the bench last week for the Tigers, so it'd be interesting to see if they keep her there or start her in the halves. Lasana Lutu, she came on and I think really changed the momentum of the game down that left side and was the reason for those tries for Tufunga at the left center, just digging into the line really deep. It just looked like the Eels, yeah, just couldn't handle what was like what she was doing down that side, and she was so silky with it. So they might just keep her on the bench and have that impact kind of player. But if they leave her on the bench too long, it might be, too little too late. So we'll see if they end up starting her.
I tried to narrow this down, but I couldn't. I chose to sort of bend the rules a little bit for myself here and choose like a little battle that I'm looking forward to watching, and that's the ex Eels pairing of Rakaya Horn and Tiana Penatani in the centres there. I think that battle there between two ex teammates is going to be a really good battle. They're both really good players. We've seen on the weekend what they both possess, their attack wise and defensive wise. Looking forward to see two ex teammates battle it out there. So. Try scorer for yourself.
So I'm going to go with on the Sharks, Anessa Biddle on the left wing. We saw the Eels capitalize there with Zali Faye scoring 2 tries on the left wing for the Eels. So on that right side of the Tigers was probably there was their weak side last week, obviously conceding 2 tries. So yeah, I'll go with Anessa Biddle.
I'll go Emma Tonegado. I think she scored last week as well, and looking to she'll back up and score another one. Really, again, one of those running playmakers, and I love watching those running playmakers at all levels. It's really dangerous to see, especially getting that lazy defensive line getting caught napping. Prediction: this is as you said, I think this will be a lot closer this time than obviously the trial result.
Yeah, well, I hope the Tigers come out and keep up that momentum and keep it a close one because Sharks definitely a team that can go on with it like they did last week. But I think maybe Sharks by about 8 or 10.
Yeah, I was going to say that Sharks 1 to 12 is looking the goods as well. Guys, that will all be in a post tomorrow. So please go ahead. Make sure you give the NRLW Watch a like if you haven't already. If you haven't already, you're living under a rock because it's the best place to go and find all your NRLW news, action, anything comes out. They're onto it. They'll put it out straight away. So thank you, Alex, once again for joining us. Um, yeah, well, hopefully we'll see you next week or and do the preview for round three. And now it doesn't kick you off and let you back on. How did you enjoy your first video?
Yeah, no, it was good. Hopefully people enjoy it, and hopefully we get some feedback, and maybe they can suggest what else they want to hear us talk about, or a segment we can do for them. But no, it was good, and hopefully we can make it a weekly thing. And yeah, I'll see you next week.
I like that. Please message either page any suggestions you want to see moving forward. Appreciate it. Enjoy your afternoon, night, whenever you're listening to this.